Hi guys, it's Ellen and today I have a new junk journal video to share with you. So in this video I'm working with the Crepe Paper Magical Forest collection. I brought this to use in my scrapbooking videos, and I absolutely love this collection, but I'm finding it quite difficult to use for scrapbooking, so I thought I would try and use it in my junk journal. And this to me already has quite a vintage theme to it, so to highlight that I'm going to mix it with some pieces from Tim Holtz Ideology, just so it just makes it more vintage, which is the style that I like in my junk journals. I don't do every spread vintage, but that's what I wanted to go for today. And the two collections mix really well together because a lot of the Ideology pieces are botanical and nature pieces, so they go well with this collection. So on the right hand page I've covered that with this green forest style pattern paper, and I've just stuck that onto the page using double-sided tape. And then I have a smaller book page that goes in the center, which I'm going to use as sort of a tip-in. And then on the page before that, I'm going to use another pattern paper from Crepe Paper, and this one is a polka dot one. And so I've stuck both of those down just with double-sided tape, and I've trimmed around them, and then I've inked around the edges of them with vintage photo, again just to help with the distress look. So I've got my photos. These are just Oscar photos that seem to just have a never-ending supply of Oscar photos. So I'm going to use a few of them in this spread. And to start with, I'm backing them all with some white tissue paper. So where I have a lot of pattern going on the two pages, I wanted to just back these photos with white tissue paper so that they still had a bit of interest behind them and another texture, but they didn't get too busy. And then I'm just going through my Crepe Paper Magical Forest ephemera here and picking out some of the pieces that I think would work really well in my junk journal. And then I'm layering up my photos on the page, and I realised I wanted two more photos to go on that centre book page. So I have two larger photos of Oscar here, and he's in a green blanket, so these go really well with the greens in the Crepe Paper collection. I'm backing both of them with another green pattern paper, and again inking around the edges of both of them with vintage photo. I'm then taking two large Tim Holtz journal cards, and I'm going to use these to layer up behind my photos, and these photos are going to go on either side of the book paper that I have in the center. So I'm going to create some collages using these journal cards. So I'm taking different pieces from Tim Holtz and different pieces from the Crepe Paper collection, so different pattern papers. I've got different ephemera pieces. I'm also going to take some lace and just some other bits and pieces to create collages on these two journal cards. And once I've done all of that, I'm going to sew around the edges of everything with my sewing machine, just with a green thread. So here you can see I've sewn around the edges of the photos on the journal cards, and then I've added some random stitching across the different layers of pattern paper as well. I'm then adding double-sided tape on the back of these, and I'm going to stick them on either side of that book paper that I've got in the center of my two larger pages, and then that is the center sort of tip-in finished once I've got those two stuck down, so I can start working on the other two pages that I've got. So on the right hand page I have this large green piece, and I'm crinkling it up to make it look more vintage, and I'm adding some more vintage photo and distressing the edges, and I'm going to stick that behind my bottom photo. And I do this with a couple of different ephemera pieces. I crinkle them up just to make them look more distressed. I'm then going to stick down my photos, and I also add some of the clear floral stickers from this collection, just overlapping on the photos where I can. I'm going to stick down my larger photo as well, and then I'll work on the left hand page. So I have two more photos here, and again I'm using different ephemera pieces from the crepe paper collection to add interest behind my photos. Again, inking around the edges of everything with vintage photo. I then have this puffy sticker from the crepe paper collection that I've really wanted to use, and this says "Stay Little Forever." So I'm sticking that on the right hand page. And I previously stamped some pieces for a scrapbook collection, for a scrapbook page, and these go really well, so I'm adding those. They're just sort of sprigs of leaves, so just adding those randomly over the page as well. And then I'm going through my Tim Holtz Ideology ephemera, and I'm taking some of the floral pieces from that collection and adding them to the spare spaces on my layout. And once I have stuck all of those pieces down, the final thing I'm doing is going through my tiny word stickers from Tim Holtz and just adding different pieces, just filling up some of the blank space on my layout, and yeah, just adding words that work well with what I'm documenting here. And then I'm also going to doodle in some little leafy sprigs around in some of the blank areas as well, and I'll also add my date onto the bottom of that green ephemera piece that I have. And then that's my page all finished. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you very much for being here. Bye guys!